So we'll go ahead and get started. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen real quick. And then leaders, if you can just manage the waiting room, that'd be great. Anna, don't do this, it's too early. Is that even a student of ours, the one that's trying to join right now?
Yeah, I think it's one of mine, but like the name always changes.
Okay, I thought we were being Zoom bombed.
No.
Okay, cool. Alrighty, so day 4, a very short presentation just so that we have some, especially if we have any visual people and you need some kind of visual image. I like to do these little PowerPoints. So we're going to go ahead and start off with an introduction of our Summer Bridge leader, Jorge, who will have similar at the same time or same way that Araceli yesterday presented kind of on her experience and some images. Jorge will be able to share a little bit about himself. And if you have any questions about their experience, about just anything in general that you want to ask, please feel free to do that. This, again, as you know, these advising sessions are very informal, they're very chill. So I want you all to really ask questions and get to know everyone. So Jorge, whenever you are ready.
Sure. I just want to say good morning to everyone. I'm super excited to be here and continue, building that bond with everyone. So to start off, my name is Jorge Valle Medina. I go by he, him, his pronouns. And why don't we start with some baby pictures? So right there, that's me as a younger kid with my older sister and my grandpa. And a little backstory. So I came from Mexico when I was around 2-ish, and I had no idea like how to speak English. So I was put into English development classes, and that comes with the whole bullying territory. But like putting in that work, I was able to improve and advance in school. I'm so grateful for my family because they instilled these hardworking roots in me. They always share their stories from back home in Mexico, which I appreciate because it sort of puts into perspective like all the advances and all the privileges that we have here in America. And then let's move on to some elementary years down here. So this is my family. We are a family of basketball players. And yeah, basketball was honestly a saving grace for me because I was bullied during school. So this was an amazing outlet for me to get, all those feelings out, and also got me into fitness and eventually helped me develop my lifestyle of being a vegetarian. And yeah, like I said, family is everything. So we do basically everything together. And yeah, I continued playing basketball all throughout high school, continued to volunteer, helping basketball, teams at the Boys and Girls Club of America here in my hometown of Santa Barbara. And that's sort of where I developed my amazing program, which helped me get an internship at a homeless shelter where I worked for a couple of years. And there I was able to help Latinx families find resources like housing and food resources. And yeah, that also played into what I want to do with my life. So I want to help people, build foundations so they could, have roots here and do better for their kids. So then that brings me to EOP up here in the corner. I did EOP Summer Bridge in 2018 And these are my best friends here, minus Vanessa because she doesn't like taking pictures. Um, and yeah, like we keep on saying, building these connections in EOP is so vital to success because I talk to them and FaceTime them every single day. We rant, we chat, we talk about classes, and other things like that. Um, I could say I really appreciated Summer Bridge. I enjoyed my experience here. I was able to explore new parts of myself and able to open up a lot more. Um, and I am really shy, if you can tell. So EOP really helped me come out of my bubble and sort of like encouraged me to step into this leadership role, which I greatly appreciate too. And through EOP, I was able to go to Japan. So EOP had a program my freshman year with the Japanese government. I think it was titled HIPPO or JICE. And there they invited our university, specifically EOP students, to go explore Tokyo, Japan, and Harajuku, and a couple other places. And we were able to explore the culture, the education system there. We even got to talk to some high officials, which was amazing. We gave a bomb presentation about what it means to be a college student of color in America. And yeah, that picture is me in Harajuku. We did some shopping there, which is amazing. I got to stay with the host family, which I still keep in contact, which is awesome too. And yeah, just taking advantage of those resources that EOP gives you is vital to having success in college. And lastly, this is a picture of me on the very first day. I'm very big on fashion and photography, so I can't help but be extra all the time. Um, but yeah, I just want to say that the first day was amazing. I loved getting to know everyone, and I just can't wait to continue this journey. Yeah, that's it for me.
And sorry I switched the slide. That was not intending to like
No
so.
problem.
Awesome, thank you. I definitely like your images are pretty good. Not that I didn't like Ada's; they were great too. Uh, any questions for Jorge about any of his experiences? Any questions to get to know him a little bit more? No? Okay. Cool. Alrighty, well, thank you, Jorge. Just make sure. Okay. So I guess I kind of wanted to gauge and see how everyone's doing so far with kind of just Bridge in general. I'm trying to figure out ways in which we can kind of switch up a little bit the way that we do our advising sessions, because I want to make sure that you all are obviously getting something out of it besides just information. And I know that getting a lot of information at the same time can be just overwhelming. So I kind of wanted, and this is kind of like if you want to turn on your mic and kind of talk about it. I wanted to discuss with you all how you feel that you're connecting, because I think the connecting piece, and if you haven't already noticed, our leaders have really alluded to that on how important it is to build that connection with other people in building those friendships. And obviously, we don't expect that by the end of Summer Bridge, you have like a best friend. It could happen. But do you all feel like you're getting those opportunities to meet people in that way? Do you feel like you need more spaces to maybe meet with each other in a non-academic way? Are you open to that? Just so that I know how to kind of just shift our meetings. I'm very flexible. If you all just want to have like an open conversation about life or whatever, we do have kind of agenda items, but I'm not tied to any of those things. But at the end of the day, this is your experience, and I want to make sure that you're getting what it is that you need. And I know that many of you have shared with me that you do want to meet other people. So I kind of just want to put that out there if anyone wants to share, like, if you need more spaces like that. Should I switch anything? And yesterday I did see some of you at trivia, so thank you for that. We do have a Netflix kind of party happening on Friday. And those are really, it's really hard to do those. But I, like I said, I want you all to get to know each other a little bit more. And I don't know if the leaders have done this, but something thinking is I'll probably put some of you into breakout rooms to give you an opportunity to get to know other people kind of one-on-one, to kind of break that whole ice and break that kind of awkwardness, because you all will be taking classes together in the fall. So it's super important that you start kind of building that connection. Um, so cool. Thank you, Richard. Appreciate that. Cool. Any feedback at all? Anything that y'all want to share?
I think the way we're doing things, it's like okay. It's just it's still like, well, for me it's still like a little awkward because and we're like we're still getting to know each other, and like I mean I'm open to just like share things about my life, but like I think it'd be good if other people did the same, and I think some of us are just really shy or uncomfortable to do that, so that's what's keeping us from being open with each other. But I think it's just fine. I think it's a matter of time.
Okay, good. And hopefully you feel that you have that space with your bridge leaders to kind of be vulnerable and talk. I think part of building that connection is also kind of like you said, right? Sharing things about yourself. Obviously, you don't need to be, you don't have to share your whole life story, but you can feel comfortable sharing something. So I think if people are willing to do that, I do challenge you to step out of your comfort zone, even, kind of just baby steps. That could be turning on your camera so that your peers can see who you are. It could be putting an image on here, and maybe leaders can help some students on how to put an image on your profile so people know what you physically look like, because I think that's important too. And also helps me whenever I'm meeting with students, because then I'm like, oh, that's who you are. So cool. Thank you, Alondra, for sharing. Yeah, so totally agree, Richard. In person would be phenomenal. Obviously, we kind of just have to go with what we have for now. But cool, thank you. I appreciate that feedback. If you all, if anyone else has any ideas of things that you all want to do, please let me know. Has anyone ever done an escape room in person? Some of you. Okay. So there is an escape room virtually that I did last like 2 weeks ago with some friends of mine. So I try to see if that's something that we could do to really break the ice so that people can really start getting to know each other a little bit more. They are fun, yes. Okay, perfect. All right, so moving into now talking about kind of info overload. Get your notes ready because you're about to get a lot of information from me. So this is the time that you kind of want to pay attention. If your camera is off and you're kind of dozing off, then this is kind of the moment to come to life. I'm going to be talking about GE, our GE pattern. And let me go ahead and exit out of this. So I'll be talking about general education requirements. And I know that if we've been meeting, I have kind of just brought that up just a little bit. But to give you an idea, when you come to Sonoma State, there are your major classes that you have to take in order for you to get your degree. But because we're a liberal studies institution, there are a set of courses that we have students take in a variety of different subjects, and they're called the general education requirements. And so kind of like in high school, how you took your A through G, I believe it is, this one is A through E. And it's not necessarily that you have to take like the same kind of subject every year. It's just one course satisfies specific sections, and that's it. So it's gonna be very different than in high school. I always get questions from students if, you know, you have to take a math every single year or every semester, or if you have to take like 4 levels of English. Once you take English, unless you are an English major, then 1 semester or a year would suffice that requirement. If you, same thing with math, unless you're a math major or STEM, or anything that requires mathematics, then after a semester or a year, depending on which course you're in, then you'll be done with that requirement. So very simple. I know students get really excited knowing that, you know, maybe in a semester or a year, you'll be completely done with math. That definitely was my case. I'm not a math person. So 1 semester was enough for me. So that's kind of the way that it works. And right now I'll kind of provide you with a breakdown of what these requirements are. And it'll be kind of a very brief overview. We'll have more time next week, and also during my drop-ins if you want to come and talk to me about them. And we'll go more in depth. But for now, I just want to kind of give you an overview so that you know. I'll also share with you some of the classes that you're already pre-enrolled in and what that satisfies from that area. There are some major classes that also count for general education requirements, and that's kind of like where we want to get strategic so that you're not taking, you know, a class for every specific requirement, but maybe you can use a class that will double dip in different areas. And that helps so that you're not necessarily extending your time or having to take 2 classes in order to satisfy one requirement. So. And leaders, please feel free to pitch in if there's anything that you want to add throughout this conversation. Alrighty. So we'll go ahead and start off with our general education requirements. Please let me know if you cannot view this. And I will put that in the link or in the chat so that you can follow if you'd like. Okay. Alrighty. So during your time here at Sonoma State, you need to complete a minimum of 48 units of coursework and these different areas that I just shared with you. And these are, like I said, in addition to kind of your major requirements. And so typically it takes students about 1.5 to 2 years to complete their GEs, and that's short for general education. But during the same time, you start taking kind of major courses. So you're kind of doing both at the same time. It's not that you have to complete GEs first before going into major classes. But on average, especially if you are an undeclared student and you're like, I don't know what I want to do, I usually tell students that you have that kind of those 2 years or 4 semesters to make a decision on what it is that you want to do. Because after you've completed GEs, you really have to decide if you are declaring a major, otherwise you have nothing else to take. And so, you know, there's not necessarily a specific like deadline that you have to declare a major by, but this is more of your informal kind of soft date that you probably should declare something. So if you look, everything that has a letter next to it is kind of just the heading for that full section. And then underneath it kind of provides you a little description of the minimum amount of units that you have to take within each sub area. And then it breaks it down between each subsection. So like A1, A2, and A3. So very self-explanatory if you really kind of read it through. But to start off with English language, communication, and critical thinking, all of you need to complete a minimum of 9 units within the whole area A. So if you break it down, that means that for A1, A2, A3, you should be taking about a 3-unit class in each area. So all of you, I believe, are pre-enrolled already into English, either 100A or 101. And so right off the bat, that one, if you successfully pass the course with a C or better, you will get your requirement out of the way for A2, written communication. And so, and we can talk about, you know, which one you're in, if you're enrolled in the semester long and the year long. Those are things I've been covering during our one-on-ones. Right off the bat, that's really the only one that you have to take. We also have A1, which is oral communication, and then A3, which is critical thinking. So that means that the semester after, let's say you're in the semester-long English class, then we would look at maybe taking an A1 course or an A3 course. I do want to put that out there that if you are in any STEM major, sometimes your schedule is very rigorous, meaning that you have a lot of like courses that you need to take, a lot of prereqs before you can even take some of your bio courses. So I tell students, if you have the ability to take a course during the summer at a local community college, I would encourage you to do that, just because it gives you that, you can take any lower division GE class at a community college for a pretty low price compared to taking it at Sonoma State during the summer. So if you can do that, we can always kind of help you out with that. But that kind of would help if you, let's say you find an A1 course at your local JC, you could take that and then have those credits transferred over to us. So moving on, there's area B, scientific inquiry and quantitative reasoning. Again, it breaks it down between B1, B2, and B4. You do see B3 here. It's not a required area, but sometimes if you have a lab requirement, it might fall under B3. But again, minimum of 12 units within the 3 units, or the 3 areas that it kind of describes here. Your math requirement that many of you are pre-enrolled in already will satisfy your B4. So you already have kind of an area there that's being satisfied. Then you have your arts and humanities. So once again, if you're kind of noticing, it's in very different subjects. So if you are undeclared, this is very helpful so that you can be exploring different areas and maybe helping you, maybe this might help you solidify your major. For those of you who already have a major declared and you're like, why am I taking arts and humanities? I'm a bio major. This really just helps in general our students so that they can be well-rounded individuals. So let's say you are thinking about maybe becoming a nurse and you're like, well, what does the social sciences have to do with anything, or arts and humanities? Arts and humanities focuses a lot on just kind of like multicultural education. And so let's say if you're a nurse, that relates because you're not only working with one set of people, you're working with a diverse population. So it helps you understand people's experiences, where they're coming from. It kind of just helps you be a little bit more inclusive, I would say, with the way that you do your work. So it all has a purpose. So arts and humanities, again, there's some areas here. Your area, there's another area that you would take upper division GEs, and I'll describe that in a little bit as well. Social sciences, this one is also pretty self-explanatory. You do have to take a required history and a required political science course. And those, again, I would kind of share with you ahead of time. And so that would make up about 6 units, about 6 to 7 units. And then you'll probably just take an additional course to try to get to those minimum of 12. And then lastly, you're in the lifelong learning and self-development area, just 1 course required in here. A lot of students, if you're interested in becoming a student leader on campus, they'll take University 238, which would satisfy so that you can apply to different leadership positions, and it also satisfies as a general education course. And then from there, those are kind of the only A through E requirements. We do have a total of, or what we call upper division, I don't think it's in here, upper division GEs. So those are 9 units of essentially anything from here, but that's considered upper division. And so upper division is any course that is 300 and above. So for example, if you look at your schedule right now, you're in, you might be in Math 165. It would be a lower division class because the number is under 299. And so that's kind of the way that we differentiate lower division and upper division courses. But let's say you find a, Math 300, then that would be an upper division course. And that could count, for example, for your upper division requirement. And so leaders, I don't know if the chat, if there's questions, if you can read that to me, just because I can't click on it. Are there questions about anything?
Yeah, Richard asked, where can we see our schedule, I'm assuming.
Okay. Yeah, I can show you all. You can access it through your portal, and we can do that after this. So yeah, so then you have your kind of CWolf studies graduation requirements. So this means that these are things that are relevant really to Sonoma State. So Sonoma State is putting these requirements. And so that history and that political science that I described in the social sciences area, that's part of the CWolf graduation requirements. And this one's right here, kind of the US history and local state government. Another requirement is your critical race studies course. And so you will find courses that will satisfy this critical race studies, oftentimes within area C. So once again, how I mentioned, finding a course that satisfies both GEs and maybe another section, then this would be the case. There are some social sciences courses as well that count as your critical race studies. And then, not something that you need to worry about right now, but before you leave Sonoma State, you are required to take your graduation writing assessment requirement. We want to make sure that those graduating obviously are proficient in writing. And so you can either take something called the Writing Intensive course, or you can take the Written English Proficiency Exam, also known as the WEPT. And you typically take that after your junior year. And so if you take the exam, it's basically, I want to say it's a 4-hour exam. I don't remember. I took it a while ago. But basically you are given a prompt and you have to write typically a persuasive essay. And then from there, it is evaluated by a committee, you get a score, and if you pass, you have that requirement met. If you take the course, because maybe you don't like taking exams, or you have test anxiety, then maybe I would recommend doing the course, which would be done throughout a semester-long course. And so the course is designated as a writing intensive course, meaning you have essays, you're doing kind of the same level of writing, and so you'll just get a grade for that course. And if you pass the course, then you'll get the requirement out of the way. So 2 different options there to do this. So this is kind of the general ed, kind of obviously just a very surface level insight into this. Are there any questions about GEs for now? Not so much personal questions like which one should I take, but just general information that or any general information that you need. Stop sharing for a little bit.
Just to recap, the graduating writing assessment, it's 4 hours?
The test, yes, I believe it's 3 to 4. And
to write a whole essay?
Correct, yeah. So you take, obviously the beginning of the essay is like, going through the instructions and getting you set, and then you have a certain amount of time to do the writing, and then from there you end. You don't have to take the whole 4 hours. It's kind of just gives you the time. If you do have any, sorry, I'm holding my mug like that. If you have any kind of a learning disability and you need to work with our DSS office, there is a way for you to take that exam on a computer. They just turn off like the dictionary and kind of all those features that you would get like working on a computer. And And then if you do it in person, I believe you can bring like a dictionary or thesaurus with you. Leaders, I don't know if y'all have taken that yet.
I actually just took it like a month ago. So what happened, for me, obviously due to everything, I was supposed to take it in person, but because obviously all of this, it got postponed to online, and they actually gave me like, it was like a Canvas like course type of thing, where they need 15 minutes to read the prompt, but the prompt was like still there. It was weird. And then it was 4 hours of like me being able to write, and it varied. For me this year, it was either write a letter to the president like persuasively, or write I think it was like a journal entry. So it wasn't, I was thinking like the standard, like, 5 paragraphs, like like, like your intro, 3 main and whatever. But it was actually not like that at all. And yeah, unfortunately, they get back to you really quick if you pass or not, or at least for me. And yeah, fortunately I passed.
Yay. Yeah, so it's really, I don't want to kind of put that out there and make anyone stressed about it. It's not too challenging, but there's LARC, who's our Learning and Academic Research Center, which I think you should learn about today, maybe. Their office offers like mock WEP. So if you want to go in and kind of just take a fake WEP exam, they won't necessarily give you a score, but they will provide feedback. So like if your essay is gearing in a very different direction, they'll be like, oh, here are some tips. And they'll always use prompts that have been used in the past, so it's an actual kind of WEP'd prompt that they're utilizing. So again, a lot of different resources that can help you prepare. This isn't something that you need to worry about right now. You worry about after your junior year. But I highly encourage you to just start prepping in that. And also this kind of helps you also take the courses that you're currently in a little bit serious, so that kind of just helps you prepare for that. So cool. Thank you for that.
May I add something else?
Oh yeah, go for it.
For me, I genuinely thought it was something you had to study for. So I was like freaking out, because I was like, I'm not the type of person to study a lot, but I really try. So I was like, what do I need to study? But then when I was told it was literally just writing, like, you don't know what it's on. It's just more like your writing skills and knowing how to write. I think with practice, that can be achieved.
Can I add one more thing? I would suggest just starting to read a lot of books also helps a lot. It helps build your vocabulary and like see how different authors start writing. I think that's just something easy that you all can start as of now.
Yes, definitely. I definitely agree. And if you don't pass the first time, you get, I think, another try, or you get multiple tries, as long as you still have time in your schedule to do that. So I always tell students, if you can take it your junior year, that gives you some time, in case you don't pass the first time, then you can go back, and you're still within that time frame before you graduate. If you don't pass the exam, they just essentially hold your degree until you pass your WEP. And so yeah, so we don't need to worry about it yet. But I did want to put that out there just so you know that it's a requirement. Okay, any other questions about GEs or anything that I just shared with you before I move on? No? Okay. And again, if anything comes up, please feel free to reach out. All right, so how many of you are undeclared, or you are having doubts about the current major that you are declared in? Use your feature, if you can raise your hand, or raise your hand physically. Yes, that works too. Thank you. Okay, so then the next link that I'm putting in is the Sonoma State catalog. So the catalog is a kind of a big database of every academic program that Sonoma State offers. So this would be things like, everything ranging from certificates that people can come and get at Sonoma State to actual major programs, to graduate programs as well. So let me go ahead and share my screen so that you can see. So once you click on that, oh.
There's a question in the chat saying, how would it work if I want to double major?
Okay, I'll cover that after this. Again, if you have any other questions, please put them in the chat, and then we can do a little Q&A at the end. Okay, so if you click on that link, it'll take you to this page. You can also just Google it, Sonoma State Catalog, and it's the very first link that comes up. But typically this is an actual book. If you want to buy it at the bookstore, I don't recommend doing that, but if you want that, you can. Everything is on here. So let's say you are looking, let me see where this is at. All right, where it says on the left, programs by department, if you click on that, it'll take you to literally every, like I said, every major that we offer. So if you're currently, doubting what you're currently declared as, I always tell students to come to the catalog so that you can actually look at the curriculum of specific majors, because you might be really, fascinated with the idea of, let's say, biochemistry. But then you click on it and you start looking at the requirements and you're like, this is really not what I want to do. And maybe we'll put you in one of the classes so you can maybe get a little feel what it is. And it's okay if you're not pleased with that major. You have time to move around. There's a reason why we meet often, so that we can kind of just guide you and kind of just share with you the knowledge that we have on different majors. And maybe you're like, I really want to work with people, but maybe not in the health field. There's a lot of different areas that you can still do that. So the catalog really kind of just gives you an insight into essentially what's required of you. I have students who are like, I want to be a nurse, but then they might take human anatomy and they dissect on a cadaver, and they're like, whoa, this is not what I want to do. So then, again, you can go ahead and switch out and start looking at other areas. So again, this is all kind of like trial and error sometimes, because we like the titles of specific fields, but once you're actually in it, it's a little bit different. So are there any majors that you want to look into? If anyone wants to turn their mic on, or put it in the chat, if you can kind of just go through it. And leaders, if you can help me with the chat.
Yeah, Ricky, Richard wants to know about criminal justice.
Okay. Anyone else interested in criminal justice? Raise your hand. Okay, it's just Richard then. Okay. So criminal justice, you can find it here. It gives you the plans both for your BA, which would be your degree, and then for a minor. So maybe you are currently majoring in sociology and you're like, I don't want to dedicate myself to the full program, which would be the BA. I just want to take essentially half of those courses and get a minor. The way that a minor works is that you don't get a degree for it. You can put it on your resume, it'll be on your transcript, but it's essentially just something that can kind of enhance what you already are studying. So for example, when I was a student, I majored in sociology and in Spanish, so I did a double major, but I was like, I'm going into student affairs. I want to get a minor in women's and gender studies, and I want to kind of just be more of a well-rounded professional. So I went ahead and I got a minor. So it wasn't a full, I didn't do the full program of women and gender studies. I just went ahead and took some courses to get a minor. So that's kind of the way that works. So if you click on criminal justice, it'll give you kind of a breakdown of the degree. So once again, we just talked about general education. You know, we have 44 units. 4 of these 48 require general ed, count for the major. So once again, when we talked about finding courses that double dip as general ed and major courses, criminal justice has 4 units that would do that. Major core requirements, meaning like these are the classes that you have to take as part of criminal justice, are about 40 units. You have about 8 units of criminal justice electives. So this is where you can pick and choose maybe a subject that you're really interested within criminal justice. And then you just take, you know, general social science elective courses, which are about 12 units, which comes down to about 3 classes that you have to take. And then university electives, you already are getting a head start on your electives. This summer bridge would give you an elective unit. And again, you reach that 120 requirement. Some more information here that you can go ahead and read, but then we start getting into the nitty-gritty of the actual requirement. So as if you are already declared as criminal justice, you can take any of these upper kind of division courses, but to start off, we would start off with Criminal Justice 201. And also, if you're not declared but you're interested in criminal justice, we can enroll you into this course. And that's the course that is also part of the GE pattern. So it counts as a GE class, but it also counts as a requirement for the major if you decide to declare. And then after, everything's pretty linear. After 201, you start jumping into actual major courses. So you can see here, you know, if you're interested in rights of the accused, you click on it, gives you a little description. Again, it kind of tells you, you know, if the course is cross-listed. So let's say you're a double major in criminal justice and political science. It tells you here that you can take either of the courses and it's going to satisfy the same requirement. So you can do that for each course, just so that you can get an idea of what's being offered and what the class is about. And then here below, it gives you kind of a sample four-year program. This is obviously assuming that everything is golden in your life and you know that life doesn't happen. But we know that life happens and that sometimes, you know, maybe you don't pass a course or maybe you need to take a semester off. This is just assuming that, you know, students are just pushing through every semester and there's really nothing else that's happening. So I don't want you to get too tied to the four-year plan, but it does help us kind of guide you in choosing what the right courses are. And so, you know, if you can't take, you know, 201 your sophomore year, then maybe we take it, you know, spring semester or maybe junior year. So it really isn't something that is too set in stone. And at the end, kind of just gives you that 120 number. And I do see the chat is going off, so if I can get some help with that.
Araceli already answered the question in the chat.
Perfect, thank you.
No problem.
So yeah, so this is kind of how the catalog works. Does anyone want to see another program?
I have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
So do you recommend for STEM majors to take a minor, or do you think it would already be a lot on their plate with STEM, their major?
Yeah, with STEM, it is pretty rigorous. So once again, how I mentioned the 120 requirement, for STEM majors, typically you'll go up to like 130 or 140 in regards to the units. So, I mean, sometimes you can pick up a minor and it, you know, it kind of just works well with especially where it kind of enhances your degree. And so typically we would work in just seeing, you would work with your major advisor to see if you have room in your schedule to do that. And so, you know, again, everything is doable if you take summer courses and stuff like that. But I've had students who are majoring in like, let's say, getting a BA in biology, but they also want a minor in maybe like statistics, or they want a minor in chem. There's just it really just depends on what your end goal as a career is. But again, just understanding that your degree is already pretty rigorous. But like I said, I mean, everything is doable, but it really depends what STEM major you choose, because, for example, the BA is a little bit less rigorous than the BS in biology. So, and just to know, for example, I'm using biology now as an example. You see here the MS. This is not something that you currently can work on. This is after you get your degree. So like I mentioned, this is giving, you know, all the like certificates, but also including graduate programs. So the only ones that you can kind of look into are the ones that say BA or BS, because those are undergraduate degrees. So, any other questions about that? I know it's a lot of information. We just need to cover it so that you're prepared for next week. And if you don't know how to formulate a question, just spit it out and we can figure it out.
I have another question, but it's not like on GEs.
Yeah, go for it.
So I took a couple classes at my local JC during my senior year. Do I have to send my transcript of the JC to Sonoma State?
I would say yes, just because that way we can see if any of those courses will satisfy anything that you might have to take at Sonoma State. So it might be helpful to evaluate that transcript. And this goes for everyone. If you've taken any courses at a community college, if you've taken any AP testing, and you received a passing score, send everything to Sonoma State, because it can save you maybe like a requirement or two that you don't have to take at Sonoma State, and you can just get that out of the way. And so I'm putting in the chat where kind of the process of how to send a transcript to SSU electronically. And so you kind of just work with the community college that you took that with, and they should kind of have a process on how to do that. And another thing, if you transfer those over, those count as, even if it's not fulfilling a requirement, it can just be elective units as well. So yes, I would go ahead and do that. Okay. Lastly, another question? No? Okay. I know that y'all don't have academics today, like math and English. So I'm kind of being mindful of time, but I also want to share the info with you. So if you need to step away, feel free, but this is just information that I'll be covering. Lastly, I want to show you all, for those that are undeclared, the module for today. One of them is Meet the Majors. So typically, if we were in person, what we would do is we would have a major fair where different departments would come, and essentially just table so that you can go and ask questions about what they're offering, what their requirements are, and kind of just some advising for you as you prepare for registration. So, if you don't do any of the other ones, which I'm gonna pretend you aren't, please, please, please focus on Meet the Majors, especially if you are undeclared, but even if you already are declared, it's very helpful for you to really understand what the requirements and what's needed of you. So if you click on it, the very first one is going to be kind of just a PowerPoint of different majors. And so as you can see here, it kind of goes through all the different schools. So we have the School of Science and Tech, the School of Social Sciences, the School of Arts based on school. So I'm talking, obviously jumping ahead.
You
I
like
think, yeah, I think my Wi-Fi is, can you hear me now? Okay, cool. I know I got a little message that said my Wi-Fi was unstable. So yeah, so when you graduate from, like I said, a specific school. So I'm not going to go through the whole presentation, but I encourage you to kind of just look through it so that you can kind of get an idea of what's required. I know that some of you have expressed interest in like multicultural studies. This kind of just gives you an idea of what they're offering. And so look through it, get an idea. The departments have worked on this specifically for Summer Bridge. And so, you know, go and just explore and see what's being offered. I don't think every department did this. So if you can't find a program that you're interested in, probably just means that they weren't able to submit something. Let me see which other one I'm going to cover. The next one is here, just some advising, kind of like a guide in regards to courses and what you should be taking. So any majors that y'all are interested, again, in learning, if anyone else wants to see maybe their own major.
Chemistry.
Okay. All right, so for chemistry, this will give you, it's kind of, again, similar to the catalog, except this one kind of is a little bit more up to date in regards to the courses that are being offered in the fall. So here you can kind of see what courses you should be taking your first year on top of the courses that you're already enrolled in. And it kind of just, once again, it divides it between a Bachelor's of Science, which is going to be a little bit more rigorous with the kind of like labs that you're taking compared to a Bachelor of Arts, which is focused a little bit more on the social side of chemistry. So I highly encourage you to look through this. If you don't understand that, it's completely fine, but it's more of just a guide for you to follow. And you can do that with most majors. I think most of them were able to provide something. So feel free to look through that as well. And then let's see, again, some videos, not all of them are here, but some departments did record some videos for you all to watch. So feel free to go through those as well. And then lastly, just some flyers from majors. So if you're kind of still in the process of exploring, highly encourage you to look through the flyers so that you can get an idea of just some other, just some general information. You know, especially if you're looking into like specific careers, it kind of, some of these outline that. Cool. So that basically is all the info. I know it's a lot. So if you need to process this, feel free to do that. And then feel free to schedule a one-on-one with me if you have questions. But any questions before we end our session that I could answer now that we're here? No? Let me just get something real quick to put in the chat. Okay. So I put in the chat the link again to sign up for a one-on-one with me. Yes, Richard. Yes, I'm still doing one-on-ones. So far today is pretty open from 1 to 5. So if you want to have a 20-minute chat with me, feel free to sign up. And then we can kind of go more in depth about your own specific questions that you might have. If you want to talk about financial aid, anything in general, just to check in, please feel free to do that. Again, if you can, please sign up for at least one time before summer bridge so that we can just meet a little bit more. And then just some reminders for today. We have, again, like I said, sign up for one-on-ones. We have our Black Faculty and Staff Association and Black Student Union meet and greet today. So there's a Zoom ID. It's also on Canvas, the actual link that you can just click to join in. And we also have our Native and Indigenous student cohort gathering from, oh, I think it's still 1 to 2. It might be 2 to 1. I mean 2 to 3. So let me check. And it should be, everything should be correct on Canvas. So, but these are the Zoom IDs if you would like to join any of these meet and greets. And with that, that's all I
Ricky,
have.
do you mind if I plug one more thing?
Yes, please do.
So I think Ricky sent out a little survey for the food registration, if I'm not mistaken. He sent out a little survey, and I think they want you all to turn that in by Friday.
Yeah, so I sent it to the leaders. I haven't sent it to the students. So if you can send it out to the students, I don't know if you have.
Okay, yeah, I will send that out.
I know for my group, I did send it out in an email, and some of y'all had issues with it, saying requesting like access or something. Make sure you're logged into your Sonoma email, because that, I believe it's just only for Sonoma email.
Yeah, it might be. And let me, if not, if you're still having issues, email me. I have access to the survey and I can maybe just change the settings. But basically that's for Friday, we're doing a, or University Culinary is doing a cooking demo. So we won't meet here, we won't have our advising meeting, but we'll be on that webinar. And so they basically just want to see what y'all are interested in. Culinary services here on campus doesn't just cook for students and just feed y'all, like they do some educational programming as well to teach like healthy eating habits. And if any of you are interested in learning how to cook, I think it'll be fun. So anything else? Any questions? Leaders, are y'all doing anything in this gap or are they kind of free to go?
Ada and I wanted to plug one more thing. So we are having a Netflix party today at 5:30. If y'all want to join, check out our Instagrams for the Zoom links. And yeah, that's all I have.
And then if you can't make it tonight for whatever reason, Case has a whole, well, today is open to anyone too. But Jorge and I are sort of like doing it, but then Case as a whole tomorrow we'll have another one. So if tomorrow works out for you, definitely check that out as well. And I believe the time is 7 p.m. So, and if you can make both, definitely encourage you to go to both. But yeah, that's it from.
Yeah, I believe the one for tomorrow, if you don't have a Netflix account, it's going to be on Zoom. And so one of the leaders will share their screen so you can still watch a movie. But again, I encourage you to join. Another great opportunity to get to know other people. But cool. Well, I'll stick around for a couple more minutes if anyone has any questions. If not, please feel free again to sign up for a one-on-one. But thank you for sticking around. Thank you for giving us your attention. And leaders, feel free to dismiss whatever you're doing. If you want me to leave.
So just make sure y'all come back by 12. Don't forget. And then we're also going to be doing icebreakers. So today we'll be in a cohort as a whole. So yeah.
Stuff. Well, enjoy your break, everyone. I know that faculty have some drop-ins. Oh, people are dipping out already. If you want to meet with your faculty, I know that they have drop-ins and stuff like that, but enjoy this little break that you have. And I will see you all tomorrow, if not later today.
So we don't have homework or anything, or what is